What's up, world? It's Katrina
and Marlena, and this is Excess Baggage,
the podcast where two friends in their 30s unpack all of life's baggage. This episode will be unpacking relationship titles.
Okay, let's start the show.
Hey, girl.
What up?
What is your baggage today?
I don't know. I kind of had a aha moment, as Oprah would say.
Okay.
I have been doing these trainings the last couple of weeks for my job and leadership training. And so it's one of the sessions we were talking about feedback, how we give feedback and how we receive feedback. And they had these 3 feedback triggers, and I definitely identified the one that was really my trigger, which was relationship. They called it the relationship trigger. And it was basically saying we react to feedback based on our relationship with the giver and not the feedback itself. And I'm like, that's me, ding dong. I know that I do that, not all the time, but sometimes, because I go off the relationship of, if the person supposedly knows me or, different things, I'm always curious as to why they may provide feedback in a certain way. And so that usually irritates me. And then I'm not even focusing on what they're saying anymore. I'm just focusing on the fact that, this was a horrible deliverance. There's so many ways to give feedback without it coming off as judgmental and not coming off as preachy, because I don't do well in those scenarios. So, it was just interesting. There was like the truth trigger or something, and it said we find the feedback wrong, unfair, or unhelpful. It's just not true, right? But everyone's truth is their truth, so you can't really say. I mean, yes. Well, shit, I don't know. There are things that are black and white that are happening in America that I don't see how they can say that those things aren't true. But that's like living in a delirious land. That's something else. But yeah, I've seen all of them. I think the other one was identity trigger, meaning like we feel overwhelmed or threatened or ashamed or off balance because of the feedback.
Interesting.
And it's more like, oh, my whole identity, I'm becoming undone, or I'm being put on.
Like taking it really personally and like it's a reflection of me, not necessarily the work.
Yeah. So I don't know, sometimes you go through trainings and things like that and you kind of roll your eyes and you're like, oh God, why do I have to do this? But I did feel like it was really helpful. It was a couple of weeks, and it helped me to get to know some of our managers better. So, I think it was overall helpful. I don't know if that's baggage. I mean, it kind of is. I mean, there was certain like pinpoints where I'm like, I can improve there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what's been on my mind. What about you? What's your baggage for today?
My baggage for today is the excessive amount of tabs and windows I have open all the time on my computer that seem to just keep growing. And it is baggage on this particular day because on multiple occasions today, I went looking for something and could not find it because it was in another window in the midst of a bunch of tabs and like this sea of tabs that are on my computer. And at this point it started off as like, okay, I have a window for all work related things. I have a window for like client related things. I have a window for, and each one has a bunch of tabs. But at this point, it has just no longer become effective, and I might need to close some of them and or finish something so I can actually close them and be done, because they stay open because I haven't finished things.
Exactly.
And I haven't finished reading the article or doing what I want to do with the article or whatever. So like, yeah, it's just this sea of undone tasks, which some of it is not even stuff that I really even need to do. It was just like, oh, this looks like an interesting event. Let me read more about it because I'm interested and may never go.
I can't help you on that because honestly, I won't say I have a lot of tabs open on my laptop. I kind of have to close those out, but I will say my background, like my desktop, is out of control. And my phone tabs on a whole nother level.
Girl,
I mean,
we can't
it's a
even
Bible.
begin to talk about my phone tabs. That's a whole different thing. Like my phone stopped counting the tabs a long time ago.
I have tabs for the regular side and the private side. So I have two separate like situations going on. And a lot of the private tabs that are open, the reason is because I really do not want to be bombarded with said, buy this or whatever. And it's just certain things or advertisement. Right. And I'm just, I can't do it. So I have like all these private ones that are open that are just living there. And then I have all work stuff and personal stuff. It's too much. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And it's every so often I like scroll through some of them and I'm like, why is this even still open? I don't even know why was I looking at this? Where did this even come from? What is this even about? And I might close a few of them, but I have not gotten to the point where my phone can actually identify a number again. Like we're well past that point, even after I've closed some, because I never close enough. But my computer, I usually have lots of tabs open, and I usually have like windows for personal work and then like client stuff. But usually it's like manageable. And today, obviously, it was not manageable because I had to search for things on multiple occasions, and like clicking through tabs felt like too much. I had to open another window. It was just a lot. So, I think I might spend some time working on that tomorrow or this weekend because it's no longer efficient or effective, which means it needs to change.
Sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes I have things open just for gifts. Or something that I saw them like, oh, such and such will really like this. And I leave it open and then I'll forget who it's for. And then it doesn't even be looking at it doesn't, joggle my memory at all. It just, it's just there. And I go, that's cool, I guess. I don't know what it's for. And then eventually, if it's been some months, then I just close it out and then it'll hit me at the most randomest time. And I'll go, oh, I wanted that for, and then I have to search and just pray that it wasn't too long from then and I can go back to my history and see if I can even find it. Yeah,
this is why the tabs stay open, because going back into the history to find things is sometimes not possible.
Right.
But sometimes
and that history, man, is sobering.
Mm-hmm.
That history tab is sobering. You're like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff on here.
Mm-hmm. You be doing some things, girl.
Yeah.
And
I do.
We don't really know why.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. I have to find a more efficient way, but till then, we're just going to close some tabs so I can actually be productive.
Yeah, that could be nice.
Mm-hmm. Even today, when starting the recording, I tried to share my screen so that we can, see our little script here, and it didn't find the window because there are too many windows.
Oh my God. See, no. Yeah, I don't have, I still have a number on my, I think I have it. Wait, no, I lie. I don't have a number. There's no number. Well,
There's no number on the computer.
Yeah, I guess I am. I guess I am way past where I'm supposed to be, but oh well.
It's a problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll work on it.
Well, at least I don't have two internet browsers. That could be even worse.
Oh yeah, no. I stick to one. But anyways, yeah, that's my baggage. I'm gonna work on it. I'll keep you updated on my computer. I'm not gonna promise about my phone. Let's
Okay.
one thing at a
Hey,
time.
one thing at a time. Right. I was gonna say, take it, step by
Take it
step.
easy.
Yeah.
Right.
What are we doing here? It's just we're not
Go slow.
Yeah. There's a reason why we arrived here. Now we need to slowly back up.
Right.
It's not gonna come overnight. No.
Right.
But it's all good. Hey, it happens. I know we're not alone. That's all I can say.
Right.
I can only imagine.
Right. Hopefully other people are worse off than I am. And we can accept that. That's how some of us work.
Anyway, so
Relationship titles.
that is today's topic.
You sound so excited.
So we have like a bunch of topics, and we just, sometimes we
scroll
do a
through
little
them and-
like a Rolodex, and just like stop where you stop, and it ended up being relationship titles today. For me and my experience, I have had a lot of bad experiences in this department.
Of getting to certain titles, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that, me with a background of people pleasing and doing the things that I do, there's been a lot of, let's not put a title on it and let's, see where it goes. And in theory, that sounds really amazing at the beginning. But
For how long?
For how long? And I never knew the answer to that. I don't really know if I still know the answer to that question, but I know now where I am in my life and how, if it's even kind of, I don't know, like I have to immediately retreat and get out, because I have given people too many benefits of the doubt, thinking that it's going to come back around and they're going to say something about it, or, maybe they claim me in their own way, in a different way. And, they're just like, we don't need to put labels on it. And you know what it is. You know that I care about, that I like. I'm like, no, those labels. Yeah, those labels are there for a reason.
Right.
And maybe they're not there for abuse reasons, to be like, oh, you my man or you my girl, so you got to do this. Like, that kind of, those type of vibes. No, but in terms of just the identity of the relationship and where it's going and how far it's come, and as the trajectory keeps going up,
Sure.
like, no, there shouldn't be any confusion as to what we are to one another. Like, I should never be introduced as just my name, just on GP, because you don't want whoever you're meeting to know, or know your business or whatever the case may be. It's like, no, if we together, we're together.
Right.
And that should not be a secret.
Do you feel like,
and the person shouldn't feel like it's secret, even if it isn't.
right. Do you feel like, at least in your experience, the moments when people were not willing to place titles, that it was to keep the relationship a secret, or the dynamic of the relationship a secret? Is that what you feel like that was?
I have had that experience. I have had that experience once that was blatant, and another time where maybe it wasn't blatant, but that feeling of feeling like
you're hiding me,
is a very can place somebody in a very insecure, in some severe, highly insecure situations with themselves.
because there's no and with you, with the other party, because there's no clarity.
Yeah. And I remember a friend of mine when I was very young. She was older than me, and I should have listened to her. Shout out to Allie. I know I don't know where Allie is. I'm assuming somewhere in Atlanta. I haven't talked to her in many years, but I remember her telling me straight up, like, do not entertain undefined relationships. And myself, I'm like, well, I mean, I'm hearing from all these dudes about how they get pressured into certain situations and maybe they're not sure yet. And, I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, so what are we? So then I retreat and not say anything. And then I end up in these um
Gray
these
areas.
gray areas that are not healthy and don't feel good.
Yeah, I hear that. I definitely hear that. I think my experience with relationship titles has almost been the opposite in a lot of ways because I'm someone who doesn't necessarily feel attached to titles or the trajectory of how we identify in our society how relationships, like the hierarchy of relationships, like I don't necessarily agree with that. And so I have been okay in the gray area a lot of the time. But what has been the difference in what you're describing is that I'm okay that you don't put a title on it, but what exactly are we doing? And there still needs to be communication and a conversation around that. Like, we don't have to claim each other. That's fine. We still doing the same shit, whether we claim each other or not. But what exactly are we doing? And there has to be communication about that. And there has to, for my experience, there hasn't been, that I know of, a hiding of that, right? Like, it hasn't been like, oh, this is Katrina, and they're only utilizing my name because they don't want other people to know who I am to them. That would be really incredibly frustrating. But I feel like for me, relationship titles just haven't been that important, and don't necessarily mean a whole lot to me at the end of the day. Like, if I'm rocking with you, I'm rocking with you, and as long as we on the same page about what that means and what that looks like I'm good. But I also understand and respect how that is important to other people. And so in my dating life, I have actually been the one who people have asked, like, no, can we like make this an official title thing? Like, that feels more comfortable to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Like, it wasn't because I was trying to hide them. It's just, that's not important to me. So I understand that that's, everything you're describing is absolutely things that happen, but it's also just interesting to hear it from the other person's perspective of how that might feel.
Yeah. And I'm not even talking about, right away. I'm saying, if you have been riding with somebody, I just wish that there was some natural progression that both parties can agree on without it feeling like are we or aren't we?
Yeah.
And, it would be nice for, someone, not saying that no one has ever approached me like, let's make this official. Let's make this whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that 9 times out of 10, depending on, where I'm at, I have my own type of reaction. So, it depends, where I am mentally at the time. Do I, or emotionally, am I ready to fully commit?
Sure.
And for the most part, I have, but there have been scenarios when I wasn't ready. And sometimes I look back on those times with some type of regret. Not a lot, but just like a slither of it, of being like, wow, like, but it's a catch-22. I guess it's a catch-22 because on one end, I have those moments where, oh, if I would have just said yes, or if I would have just, did this at that time, then who knows where I would have been right now, right? Life is a series of choices. But at the same time, I knew my mindset and things.
And you weren't ready.
I wasn't ready.
Right.
So, but then there's the other way of like, okay, but you could have went and got into it, submitted into that situation. And then, who knows, in 6 months you could have broken up, and then,
Sure,
or,
right.
no one knows the timetable of how long something is going to be. So I guess that's, I can't really look back on it, I guess, what we regret, but I do look back at it as in, I want to be sure when I make decisions. And there's been times when I haven't been sure, or I don't know if I said the right thing, or I don't know if I should make this choice right now, or, maybe I'm being selfish at this moment because that's how I'm feeling, but not recognizing the bigger picture.
Sure.
I'm not saying that hasn't happened. I look at my life now at this age and I think a lot about where I am and where I am in my career, where I am in my relationships. I kind of weigh everything. And relationship wise, I just feel like in the last decade, I just have not done well. I just haven't. And this, to me, the relationship titles part of it all has been like a reoccurring theme of me accepting less than what I deserve, me going with the flow and allowing myself to be influenced with what should happen in my life without me actually asserting of as if like, do you really want this?
Right. That makes sense.
So yeah, and it is very frustrating, especially because I like my alone time. I like my me time. I like to have okay, so today I took myself out. Today I treated myself. I did those things. I like doing those things for myself. And I don't know if that stems from me saying that I'm afraid of commitment, because I don't think that I am. I think that I need a healthy amount of space. I do. And some people don't understand that in a relationship. And so they may think like, well, damn, why would I want to be with somebody that doesn't, who's already thinking like, oh, I need my alone time. And I'm just saying like, for me, I think a healthy relationship, you have to have those things. You just have to.
And it depends on the person, because everybody doesn't need as much as everybody else. I am definitely somebody that needs my time and will go out and do my thing and be with my friends or be alone, be by myself. Like, I'm going to have my own life. And if someone's not willing to commit to that, because they feel like I'm not as committed to them because I need time to myself, then this ain't a good fit, bro. This ain't gonna work.
Right. And for me, but that's my thing. I don't feel like I've ever had commitment issues. Like, if it was right, it was right. It fit. And I would fight all damn day, trying to get it to fit. I will always be fighting for that. But for me, it was like, now that I look at it now, it's like, why? I think about what Diana said on that episode about marriage, and it's so true. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be work. I really don't. Like, it is work, as in you guys are partners. You're both putting in the work for your relationship to ultimately grow and move to the next level. But I don't mean work as in, it's almost when they say like, do what you love, right? Do what you love, so what you love doesn't feel like work.
Right. So it shouldn't feel like work. It shouldn't feel like we are fighting so hard to try to make this thing continue and happen. It should be the typical maintenance work that you do on any relationship or even on your vehicle.
On yourself.
Right. Like, there's maintenance work that we have to do on a regular basis. There has to be check-ins. There has to be communication. There has to be like a shift or change depending on what's going on in life, because life shifts and changes. And so you have to accommodate your relationship based off of what's happening for each individual. But it shouldn't be like this consistent, like, we're just trying to make this work. We're just trying to get through. I hear that. And I think that's something to be mindful of too. Like, do you really want somebody who's not willing to commit? If the title is all it's doing is saying that like, yeah, we in this thing and we're agreeing that we're in this thing, and you're not willing to say that, that's a problem. And like, what is the issue? Like, sounds like they are the ones with the commitment issues, right? Like, what is the issue around the title? You said before we got on the air, like, if we've been doing this thing for a minute and having a title is not necessarily going to change what we are doing, it's just going to change how we name each other to other people, then what is the issue with the title? Because it's one thing for you to feel like that's not just in my value system. Like, for me, that's not in my value system. I don't care. I don't need you to be my boyfriend. I don't need you to be my man. I don't need to claim you in those ways, as long as we are in agreement about what's happening and we are on the same page. But I'm also somebody that probably, what people would say, over communicates about what's happening. And I'm going to keep having conversations and I'm going to keep asking questions. But the moment you ask me, like, what are we doing? I'm going to be clear about that. And if your value system is that you need a title because you believe in a hierarchy of relationships, then we can negotiate what that means and we can talk about that. Like, what does having that title mean to you? Because it doesn't mean the same thing to me. And if it's important to you, then sure. But I'm not going to sit up here and be like, nah, like, it doesn't make a difference to me, so we shouldn't do it. We're doing the same shit either way. We're just putting a label on it.
That's that's to me the biggest thing. You know, like to me, I understand the other argument. I totally do. Because then a person could then jump flip it and say, okay, well, exactly. Why do we need to put a label on it? Right. But for me, isn't it all about balance and all about compromise? Because I feel like if that, out of all the things that, you know, on the list of like, okay, what's going to make this work? If that is one thing and you're willing to lose
this
based
whole
off
relationship
off of that thing, or even when, for example, like I told you about marriage, and how people go, oh, well, people have been together for, 10 plus years and then they get married, they end up breaking up. What's the point of getting married? It's just a piece of paper. It's just, it's just this, you hear all these arguments about why getting married is pointless. Which I see some, I'm not going to say it's an illegitimate, argument. I'm not going to say that there's there's pros and cons, but I also would not lose my entire relationship based off of, oh my God, this person wants to get married.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And is the relationship ending once the marriage happens because the relationship changed? Like, because a lot of times what happens, the reason why people break up after they've been married, after they get married, even though they were together forever, is because there are expectations that we have about what it looks like to be married. I have an expectation of you all of a sudden now because you're my wife or you're my husband in a way that I did not when you were just my boyfriend or my girlfriend or whoever, right? And if those expectations have not been discussed, communicated, acknowledged, then yeah, it's going to end when we get married. But that's because of a lack of communication, not because we got married. It is because we did not communicate to each other what marriage
means to both people.
Right.
Yeah.
If I want to be married because I just want to be able to call you my husband, but you want to be married because marriage means that I have to stay at home and cook and clean, we're not on the same page. And yeah, this is not going to work. We need to have an agreement about what this even means to us. For some people, it is a religious commitment. Like, it is something that we are doing under God. For other people, it is a way to just celebrate what we already have and honor that we are saying that we are doing this for the rest of our lives in front of the people that we love, right? For some folks, it's spiritual. Like, there's all of these things. For some folks, it's just a party, and that's okay too, right? But what is the reason for the marriage? What is the reason for this union? Why is that important to you? What does that mean? Those are the reasons that the marriage breaks up the relationship. It's not because they got married. It's because they did not communicate and they were not clear about the expectations that they have set forth onto each other, and then they got married and realized, like, oh shit, we ain't on the same page.
Well, we all know that expectations are like the killer of all relationships. Like, it's just, if you lead with that, you're really not going to get anywhere. Like, if anything, you probably, I don't want to say you should lower your expectations. You should probably just, I guess each person, it's to each his own. Like, what is okay and what's not okay to you? I don't know if it's an expectation. Like, you expect this person to change or you expect this person to do this. Like, if those, again, like you said, if that communication is not there, if you guys do not talk through these things and really dig into what it is to mean to be in a relationship with the other person, then you're doomed from the start.
Right,
Uh,
right. And
you're
the
just
title ain't gonna fix
yeah, the
that.
title not gonna do nothing at all. It's
It's
just
gonna make it worse.
yeah, it's just gonna make it worse.
Because now you have higher expectations, and we already wasn't on the same page. We already wasn't doing the things that we said we was gonna be doing. So,
Right. So
so the real issue is the communication. Are we
I mean, the
having
real issue, I mean, I guess it is the communication, but
Because
I
even
don't
if I
know.
have expectations of you, if I communicate that, then the conversation then becomes, are you willing to meet those expectations? And if not, then we don't do this. But if we don't have a conversation about that, and we're just operating from like, oh, we've been together for 5 years, we should, be married, or we should be boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. Like, you should be my partner now. Like, we should call it official. And we don't have conversations about what that means and what the expectations are, or not even expectations, my wants, needs, and desires of a partner.
Right.
And if you're not, like, if I'm not willing to communicate that to you, or I communicate that to you and you're not willing to accept those terms, then we got to renegotiate, or we just got to drop the whole thing altogether. Like, but nobody's communicating. We're just like,
Yeah.
oh,
So that's, yeah. And then that's where it just
we
becomes a
just go with the
cycle
flow.
of fights, and you go with the flow. And then next thing you know, you're like, damn, it's been 4 years. It's been 4 years.
Right.
Or it's been 5 years. It's been however long. And you're so used to being on the roller coaster, and you're like, damn, if I just would have asked for what I wanted at the beginning and made my decision there of whether or not I was going to exit, instead of thinking that it was going to get better, either A, it was going to get better, or something, or,
Something might shift.
something might shift or change for, in your favor.
Right.
And then, and then you think that something's going to come from that, but it's just it's just no good. And, I think, if we get clear on the things that we want early on, it can save a lot of time. And that's something that I can't get back. They can't
Right.
get back. We can't get back. So, and I don't have regrets. I just feel like, okay, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
I
hear
really
that.
don't want to do this again. I swear, and I really don't want to say this, but I have thought about it, like, okay, like, I'll just be by myself. Like, I'll just be by myself. And I really don't want to retreat to that, because I know that I can move into this exile of basically excommunicate myself from the
Sure.
dating world, because I can, I please Marlena. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I am sure of myself enough to know that, like, I am a good person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not perfect by no means, but, like, I'm not like a shitty person. I don't have, I don't have I don't have bad blood with peeps. I pretty much try to keep it light and tight and keep it pushing. I don't want to deal with the drama, but in turn, I know that could be like, oh, okay, so she pretty much wants to do whatever she wants to do. And the only part about me that's afraid of being alone for too long is being able to be adaptable, because I might get to a point where I'm just like, no.
I mean, I think that is a risk. And I also don't believe that in the right situation, you won't adapt. I truly believe, regardless of how long you've been single, as long as you are doing the work that you need to do on yourself and continuously taking care of yourself and doing healing work and being honest with yourself about, eventually I do want to have a partner, but I am okay if I end up by myself. I think as long as you are being alone from that mindset, when the right person comes along, anything that you ask for that is within reason, obviously, is going to be a reasonable conversation about coordinating what that looks like and negotiating that between the two of you. And you will absolutely do the same thing for the right person with the right energy and the right vibes. And if somebody is showing up in the ways that you need them to show up, I have no doubt that you'd be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. And they will have no issues being like, yes, let's put a title on this. Or they might even ask you before you have to ask them, right? Or they have no issues with Marlena needing some time to herself or whatever. Like, I truly believe that. I don't think, unless you are going into your little cave by yourself because it's like, I'm just warding off men because I can't stand these niggas and I don't ever want to do this anymore. I don't see that ever happening.
Well, for me, it's also, I don't ever want to have to be the one to bring it up. Like, I'm done. I'm done being the one.
That's baggage, Marlena.
I know that is, but I'm done bringing it up, meaning to say, what are we? Or is this going anywhere? Or any, I just, if it within, like, I don't know. Yeah. And maybe it's just where I am right now.
Sure.
I'm not saying that this is, I'm sure this will change. I'm just saying where I am right now. I really don't have it in me. Like, you fuck with me or you don't fuck with me. If you don't, like, there's a door. Like, at the end of the day, it's just like, I really don't have the time. I really am working on myself. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to build some type of legacy. I'd love to have somebody that's here that's going to guide me and that we both can be on the same wavelength and, have the same goals, or even if it's not, if we don't have the exact same goals, at least we can support each other and for real support each other and not feel like it's a competition. Like, I just I don't have it in me. I really don't. Maybe I will at some point again, but right now I don't want to have to be the one. It just seems like a lot of times, and it's, again, not all men.
Right.
But it's, from my perspective, it always seems like the woman is the one who's saying, well, you my man, or, well, what the fuck, like it's some type of like, this, the conversation usually starts from this side. And for me, I'm like, nah, like, I
don't want this to turn into a Marlena therapy session. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are listening who probably are in similar or the same place. And I just want to name that is not always the experience, because as someone who's been on the opposite end, I'm always the one who's been asked to be the girlfriend. I have never asked. I've never checked in. I'm always the one who's been asked. And so it's possible.
But it's the reason that they asked you to be the girlfriend. I always also think about this is the reason they asked to be a girlfriend or be in a relationship is because they're trying to cuff you for said, wintertime or whatever the fuck, but like they don't necessarily want to do the work of a relationship. And again, and I can't not say work, but just,
right. I can't say that that's true either. There are some who obviously I wasn't in relationships with, and I told them niggas no, because it wasn't going to work. And then there are others who I was in relationships with, and they very much showed up and did the work. And then there are some that I was in relationships with and it was trash. And like, yeah, but I can't go through saying that everyone that asked me to be their girlfriend was just trying to cuff me and wasn't trying to show up and do the work. I think many of these men really wanted to be in relationships and were doing the work. Whether they were a good fit for me or not is a whole different story. But I think your experience that you continuously have is what is putting you in this place. And that's totally and completely understandable. But offering a little like, no, there are men out there that will ask. And I think part of it too is like, if that's your baggage, if that's what you walking into dating with, lead with that. Like, don't just keep that to yourself. Like, name that. I have named to people that like, I am not the one who's going to move this relationship forward. If you want us to move into a different dating space, if you want us to put titles on this, if you want any of these things, you are going to have to name that, because I'm just not the one who's going to do it. If you want us to move out of we're just having a good time and seeing what happens into officially dating, then you need to make that move. And this is what that looks like.
And I will say this, I really do mean that at the beginning. I don't, maybe young, like long time ago, teenage Marlena, of course. But I'm talking about, for the most part, if I go into a situation and say, yeah, let's see where it goes, I actually mean that.
Yeah.
I do want to see where it goes. And as serious as it becomes, and as you know, as the love grows, as there's like obvious, you know, things happening, yeah, it can kind of suck when either myself or the other person was not ready, you know? It's just like the launch. It was like it was there. It's just I don't know. Again, you said, from my experience, I'm like I just I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to do it. And yeah, I will definitely lead with that for sure. I think that's a part of getting to know the person because it's my truth. I'm not saying it in a way to be like, yeah, like, like I'm trying to, say that it's right or it's wrong or it's anything, but it's where I am.
That's
now.
where you're at. And that's the baggage that you walking into any dating situation with at this time. And that's okay. I don't know that it's healthy to always be in that place, but if we're naming it, then everybody's on the same page. We're clear. Mm-hmm. And that's just what it is. If you're not willing to initiate this moving into a different space, then it just never moves into a different space. But that also means that there are certain privileges that you don't get because we're not in that space. Right? Like you don't get all of my time or you don't get certain things, certain parts of my body or whatever, because we're not in that space and you haven't initiated that. And I'm good.
And here lies the problem. Here lies the problem. Well, we don't have time for all that, but I'll just say yes, 1,000% true.
Right. And that's just the boundary. That's what it looks like. It's so interesting to have this conversation too, because I hear you and I understand from a very like logical, I'm able to piece that together and that makes sense. And I know our societal standards and the way that we've been taught about relationships is very much this like hierarchy, and that means a lot to people. And I think my frustrations have always been, or have more so been, kind of the opposite of that, where it's like, I don't give a shit about none of this. Like, either you with me or you not, and that's it. And I don't need a title. I don't need to call you my boyfriend. Like, that doesn't matter to me. I don't even necessarily need to be your girlfriend. That doesn't matter to me as long as everybody's on the same page and we're clear. I don't need marriage. And I feel like sometimes people feel that, like, oh, you want to claim me, that means we supposed to be getting married, right? Like that means like we in this thing forever.
But that's the other thing. That's not what that means.
It's not. And that's why there has to be a conversation about it, because at the end of the day, I think listening to you and I, just listening to the two of us talk about this, you have one very specific need, and that's you would like a title. I have this very specific need that I don't need a title, but I think we want the same exact thing. And so if we were dating each other, if we would have a conversation, instead of just saying, you saying, I want a title, and me saying, I don't need a title and we don't need to have that, if we were to have a conversation and get clear about what does a title mean to you, Marlena, it means that we are committed. It means that we claim each other. It means that we are showing up for each other. It also means that you might get certain aspects of my time and energy and effort. And for me, I'm like, oh, well, I'm already ready to give that. So yeah, title sounds okay. Like, I don't need that. It doesn't make a difference to me because I'm already there. Right. And then we would just be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, how do we want to negotiate this? But I think like so much of it is like, you have your need, I have my need, and we are not clarifying what any of that means. Everybody's just operating out of this fear or, you know, whatever. It's like, I need a title because I need to make sure that you're going to stick around. That's not going to make the nigga stick around. Like, he might disappear still. Or
sure.
We need to claim each other because, you know, whatever. Or we don't need to claim each other because I don't want to be committed. Like, if we just clarify what all of that means instead of operating out of these like preconceived notions, then maybe a lot of this just wouldn't be so hard.
Yeah, because it's just so interesting when people say they don't want to be committed, but they are.
Right, you are. You're doing the same shit.
You're doing the exact same thing. And so it's this, I'm like, is it just the word itself, commitment? Like, what is it? Like, I wish that people would be more open and honest and name, like, what is that? Where is that coming from? Because to me, it has never been And even if we didn't name it and said, "Oh, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend," even if we didn't, if the effort was there of said what I think that title means to me, if that effort was there, I probably would never say anything about it.
Right.
You know, as long as I felt like, yeah, I am taken care of, as if I am he's my partner.
Right.
You know, he's got my back 100%. That doesn't necessarily mean that, yeah, we're going to get married. This relationship could end, and that's okay.
And
if
that's
it
okay.
ends.
Right.
And I think a lot of, again, from my experience, when I would ask for what I would want, what I wanted, or whatever the case may have been, it always seemed like there was this super fear that something was going to like severely change, you know, like, or, you know, Mary, like, I don't know if I could do that. You know, it's just like, you're like, well, what do you mean you don't know if you could do that? Like,
Right.
I don't.
Do what exactly?
Doing what exactly?
Right.
Because
who said it's any different than what we are doing in this
right,
moment?
because if we're talking about, you know, moving funds and putting money together and potential other stuff that's like, yeah, like contract type situation shit, like you cannot say that like, oh, marriage is like, oh, it's a business. Yeah, it is a fucking business.
Sure.
It is, you know, it's not only that though. I feel like for me, it's legacy.
Absolutely.
It's definitely legacy. What did these two, you know, if I'm taking your name, or if we take each other's name and we put those, like, what does that mean for us? What did we build? That's what it is for me. Yeah, I guess I think about my grandparents a lot. And I think about how, like, you know, my grandmother has been a Haley longer than she was even, you know, what her maiden name was, you know, that's how long they've been together.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, like that means something to me, you know, and I feel like it should mean something to the other, you know, but again, not everybody is me. So I have to, you know.
Yeah, that don't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
I can't even say that. I think what I have discovered in having those conversations is that it feels really hard for me to give up the name that I've had for 30 plus years. And to take your name to me is not necessarily a sign of how much I love you, but it feels like giving up a piece of who I am in a certain way. And also, let's be real, this name comes with a lot of commas at this point because I got these degrees and my name is what it is on all of those degrees and on this business and all of this kind of stuff. And so there are layers of that to me that are like, this is a big piece of who I am and my identity. And not to say that my name changing is going to change who I am necessarily. And it feels hard to just let go of my name in the name of love, right? And I feel like, for me personally, I feel like somebody who's coming into a relationship with me should also understand that, right? Should also understand, well, yeah, I don't want you to give up this piece of yourself in that way. And can we talk about this? Can we have a conversation? Because there's also the piece of like, I don't know any man, I've not run into a man yet who will have a conversation with me and be like, yeah, Katrina, I'll take your name. Like, no, the expectation is that I'm going to give up my name for you. That is the only expectation. And if there's any conversation outside of that, then it's like jarring. Like, oh, you might want to keep your name.
I did see a couple who just got married. They're famous, but it's Brooklyn Beckham. So David Beckham and Victoria Beckham's son. He got married to his wife, like literally maybe a couple months ago, and they both took the same name. So like now he has her last name too. So it's like uniforms, like it's, you know, Brooklyn, blah, 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 you know, Beckham, blah, 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 but her name is still in there. And I was like, see, that's what's up.
I like that.
I like that. Like,
I like that. I'm down for that.
I'm down for that. And I'm definitely keeping Haley. So like, it's going to be a dash situation all around.
Right.
And I hope it rhymes. I hope it goes. But you know, if it don't, it don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it don't, it don't.
Keeping her name. That I'm keeping my name. And I don't know if this goes beyond the relationship title thing to some degree. It's talking more about marriage, but I think the reasons why we took men's names, men's last names, are no longer really applicable today. Right? It was because we were men's property. It was because we couldn't do anything without a man because we belonged to them. You were nothing without a husband. You were nothing without your daddy. So you had your daddy's last name and then you had your husband's last name. Like, we're in a different world now. And, you know, we can change and shift. But again, it's about having conversations around, what does it mean to be married? If we get married, does it mean that I'm taking your name? Is that what that means to you? Is that what that is about for you? Does it mean that we're creating a legacy? Does it mean that we are honoring this union under God or certifying it under God? Or, you know, what is the meaning of this? And what are the expectations going forward? What are your wants, needs, and desires going forward? Once we slap this title on it, whether it's partner, husband, wife, wife, husband, whatever, like, what does that mean? And does that work for the both of us? And if it does, let's do it. And if it doesn't, let's not. Let's drop it and move on.
Man, let's get these benefits, son. Let's get these benefits, son. We all gonna be old as fuck one day. I'm trying to get all the benefits. Give me everything. I'm sorry, married people do get more benefits than single people. They do.
They do. This world is not cut out for single people.
The
grocery store isn't even set up for single people.
No, I have to buy so much fucking food that I'm like,
that I feel
like I'm going to waste this. Like, can we have just a little smaller? Can it just be just a little bit? Nope.
No, you got to buy the big ass package.
It's for families.
Everything is set up for families.
Yes.
You get better discounts if it's for families. I get it, and I don't. And I don't. Because all of us can't buy things in bulk. It doesn't make sense. Me buying a Costco-sized box of toilet paper would be absolutely ridiculous.
I do that. I do it.
And it's absolutely, you have toilet paper forever. You have to.
No. I mean, not forever, but it definitely lasts. It lasts for a good,
long
time.
Because my toilet paper lasts a long time and it's not Costco size.
I'm okay with it. I'm saving money.
Anyways. Y'all go have some conversations with folks about what this stuff really means.
Yes. And sorry for if I sounded off today, you know. But I have had a lot of situationships in my day. And let me tell you, kids, it is not for the bleak. No, or it's not for the weak. It is bleak, darling. And don't do it. Just don't do it.
I'm not going to say that. Y'all can have situationships. Just be clear that that's what y'all are doing.
Or, yeah.
Don't fall into no situationships. That's what we'll say. Don't just fall into them. If you are walking into a situationship, let it be something that you have agreed to.
Amen.
Woo, child. Some of these topics.
I didn't say nothing. I said a lot, but I didn't say nothing.
You said so much. But it's good because I'm sure other folks are having a very similar or the same experience, and it's good to feel heard.
Mm-hmm. It is.
All right, y'all, this next segment is called Roses. Marlena, who do you want to give your rose to today?
So I have been, getting really clear about what I want while I'm here on this planet. And, my long-term goals, my short-term goals, all that jazz. And one thing that I know for certain when I get the funds and when I'm able to, I definitely want to open my own performing arts school. And, and if I can, pretty much try to give it for as lowest cost as possible. And, just have programs for students, so that they don't feel like they have to choose between, can I take this or can I take that? And what they're into at all different types of ages. So, that's the reason for that, though, is definitely because of this lady that I'm giving my rose to today. It's Miss Williams. She Miss Roxanne Williams. We met her in, I guess I was in elementary school. I would say
I was in
the
4th grade.
second grade for me.
Mhm.
And so from 2nd to 6th, she was basically like the vice principal of our school. And Miss Williams was just a ball of energy. Okay. When I tell you she was a ball of energy, I would, being the awkward kid that I felt that I was all the time, being around her, like she made you feel super, super comfortable.
Absolutely.
And allowed you to be yourself and to act out and to, say how you're feeling, and really just giving a really safe space for kids, and recognizing when something was going on with them, and, sitting them down and, actually, pouring into them and listening to them. And, she was theatrical. She loved doing plays and putting on the programs at school. Like, she was really into it, and her, like, that magnetic energy, the way that she felt about, theater and music and different things, like that rubbed off on me a lot as a kid, a lot.
I didn't know that.
So much so that I find like Miss Williams in different people. Like, I see her personality or certain things. Like she was just such a character to me that, like, she reminds me in certain episodes of like Carol Burnett and like Lucy and like different things, that like just the way she, like, that infectious spirit and laughter and just, being silly and not taking yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but then, of course, like, if she want to get you together, she'll definitely get you together. No problem at all. But
in a loving.
Yeah. In a loving way that didn't, intimidate or make you fear her at all. And, so, I want to give my rose to her and, shout her out and give her all the flowers, because, my love for singing, my love for dancing, my love for acting, all of that came from her. She, at that age, I think, 11 or 12, I ended up being like, played the main role in the school play. And there were a lot of hours that we spent together of her just getting me ready and making me feel comfortable enough to go out there in front of all those people, because that was, now I got a lot of personality, but at that age, I was definitely more awkward, and, there's still this part of me that's here now was inside, but it definitely took some massaging and getting out of my shell. And,
Absolutely.
And I'm still not, and I'll probably never, ever completely be all the way out, but, I'm about 90% probably, but I still get jitters like anybody else. Is natural.
Sure.
So, but yeah, it's all because of her. So I'm telling you guys, whenever I make it happen and I have that school, it's going to be dedicated to her, whether it's a wing in her honor or an auditorium named after her. Like, she is definitely going to have that. And I love her. I haven't talked to her in a long, long time, but, I reached out to her. And, hopefully we're going to have lunch soon. And, just kind of, just want to let her know just the impact that she had on me, and that, she's a hero of mine. And I'm just going to, I want to tell everybody. So shout out to Miss Williams.
I love that. Shout out to Miss Williams. Anybody who's a part of the K. Anthony family, I'm sure many of y'all know her and can understand, because she was definitely a light during our time. Tell her I say hi when you see her. I haven't seen her in so long.
I will. It's so funny. It's just certain stuff, just quirky stuff that I just remember, that even my grandmother, sometimes she'll say something that a teacher said to her when she was like a young kid.
It's amazing how big of an
something that you can remember that long ago. And it's the same for me with her. I had another teacher, Mr. Connolly. There's certain little like things that I just remember that will always,
be with me.
So Yeah. Shout out to them.
Absolutely.
And all the teachers that are out there that, they don't get enough credit. They certainly don't. Principals, teachers, there's some, amazing, amazing people out there that are making a difference in our kids' lives. And that really does help humanity and our society because,
Absolutely.
y'all know what else is on the other side. So let's just lift the the teachers up and the administration and everybody that's working with our kids, because those hormones are raging. There's so many things happening to you as a kid that we all know, we all been there. That developmental stage is so precious. So
it's hard. Yeah.
And it's hard. So, shout out to the do-gooders of the world, because, we need more of them.
Absolutely.
Well, Katrina, who are you giving your rose to this evening?
I am giving my rose to Miss Tabitha Brown, or Auntie Tab, as the internets like to call her. I have been following Tabitha Brown for several years. I don't even know when I started following her, but I started following her because she made this video that just had me cracking up, and I just thought she was so funny. But in the time that I've been following her, and of course I always say I'm not very consistent on social media, and so I'm sure she's doing many other things in life that I don't know about, but she is just such a joy to me to watch, to witness. For those who don't know her, she is a Black actor and creator, and she, I know, has been for a while doing like vegan cooking videos on socials. I think she's on TikTok and Instagram, and probably on Facebook, also on YouTube. But I've just witnessed her journey and watched her just grow and expand. And she's talked in the last few years about feeling like she's finally getting her break, and she's finally getting to move into the thing that she really wanted to do and she felt called to do and she fought so hard for. And I'm just so happy for her. Like, she just has such a wonderful energy and personality. I just love watching her. I love witnessing her. I love the things that she shares and posts, and the way that she kind of presents herself, which, I imagine is a lot like how she is in person. But I'm just so excited for her. She now has a cooking competition, or is a part of a cooking competition show on the Food Network. She made her own seasoning. I think it's a McCormick product. Don't quote me on that. She had a limited edition clothing line at Target this summer, which then followed up with home decor. And she opened her own restaurant, or a chain of a restaurant, Hell My Name, which is out here in LA somewhere as well. I haven't been yet, but I heard good things. Like, she's just doing all the things, and I'm just so happy for her, and I'm so excited to see her on this journey. Like, she's announcing things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing so many great and wonderful things. And it just feels really cool to see a Black woman who has fought so hard just making it and being able to be successful in a world that can be so challenging, especially in her industry, I would say. And she's talked on multiple occasions about how people have wanted to change her, and she wears her she also has hair products. Donna's Recipe, for those who don't know her, she calls her Afro Donna. So she who wanted her to change her afro and straighten her hair, different things like that, and how she has really allowed herself to just be herself. And she's coming into all of these opportunities as herself now. And I think that is such an inspiration to those of us who are just trying to do whatever it is that we are doing, and do it from our own perspective, do it from a genuine place, an authentic place of who we are. And so shout out to her. She just gives me so much inspiration, so much motivation, so much joy. I'm just really excited for her, and I want to shout her out, even though she may never hear this. But I think it's good that we continue to just give credit where credit is due, because that woman has been working hard. And I don't even know the half of it. I just know what I see on socials and what she shares, but behind the scenes, I am sure it has been a lot more. And so I'm just so happy for her. So shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to Tabitha. I don't follow her career that much, but I have been seeing her more and more. And I know my best friend Rock, like that's her jam. She loves Tabitha Brown. She loves her. And I saw there's an event actually tomorrow night, which by the time this come out, it'll be too late. But there's an event tomorrow night that she's going to be at the Saban Theater where she's just speaking. And I think it's called like an evening with Tabitha Brown. It's called A Time to Heal.
Oh, I wish I knew about that.
So it's tomorrow at 6 p.m. and it's free to attend. Actually, all you had to do was like RSVP to go. And it's I think it's like hollywoodconfidential.com or something like that. But yeah, it's like some panel event series that they've been doing, and that's her. She's gonna be on the panel next. So yeah, shout out to her. That is. I did go to Target not too long ago and I did see her and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
I might have to go tomorrow.
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I've been asked about like 2 or 3 things in every time I'm like, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I really need to get clear about what I'm doing for my trip. So I think that's the mode I'm in right now. And so
you only got a couple weeks left.
Exactly. So I need to like lock everything down like ASAP.
Right.
And yeah, I think it's like, how you're like, oh my God. Like I'm at panic mode where I'm like, oh my God, I need to book a place to stay. Like I need to get my hotels.
You got to get shit together.
So yeah, and that's the whole thing too. We're not even gonna go into this, girl, but it's like, oh, am I gonna do a hotel? Am I gonna do an Airbnb? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know which way I want to go.
Yeah, you gotta figure all of that out. Meanwhile, I just opened another tab to find this event.
You know what? Tomorrow. I'm real done. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for listening. Katrina's crazy. Have a good night.
Wow.
I don't know about she's crazy, but she crazy.
She just got a lot of tabs, okay? I get real excited.
That's it. It's just the tabs. That's it. It's only the tabs.
I feel judged.
No judgment here. None. I'm in the same boat. How am I judge you?
Right, but you talking about me.
You crazy. I'm crazy. Okay. We crazy.
See.
What did they say? You hang up on the... Never mind. I'm not going to end this with a song. I'm going to say, enjoy the rest of y'all week. Keep being fab. We out.
Well, that was another episode of Excess Baggage.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Excess Baggage Pod. That's Excess Baggage POD. And check us out on TikTok at Excess Baggage Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and review on the podcast app and Spotify.
And remember to pack light and keep it tight.
A show.